Okay, I think this is one of the problems you were talking about. The percentage of male workers who prefer a female boss over a male boss increased approximately linearly from 8% in 1975 to 11% in 1995. Predict when 23% of male workers will prefer a female boss. Okay, what I notice is we're given two different kinds of data. We're given percents and we're given time. The first thing we need to do is figure out how our data should be. Now, typically, if time is involved, then time is always the independent variable, which means time is going to be x. So I think our data should be set up as time, comma, percent. Now, to make things easy on myself, I always start my time at time 0 with the first data point. So I'm going to call the year 1975, I'm going to call that year 0. So my first data point will be 0, comma, 8%. And then this one is 1995. So 1995 is 20 years later, because we started in 1975, comma, 11%. And that gives me my 2 points. Once I have my 2 points, I can go ahead and find my slope. To find the slope, I use our formula for slope, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 11 minus 8. Over 20 minus 0. So that's 3/20. Okay, now I want to find the equation of the line that matches this data. I have two choices at this point. I could use either y equals mx plus b, or I could use y minus y1, equals m times x minus x1. And here's how I decide which one I want to use. I look at my data points and I ask myself, do I know the y-intercept? And I see this one right here, which is 0, 8. That one's the y-intercept. I do know the y-intercept, which tells me using y equals mx plus b is going to be really easy. If I don't know the y-intercept, then I usually use this formula. That's my rule of thumb. So, using y equals mx plus b, I'm going to have y equals m we discovered was 3/20, x plus 8. And I should tell you here where x is years since 1975 and y is the percent. Okay, it's always good to write down what your variables stand for so you make sure you don't goof them up and confuse them later on. Because now I'm ready to answer the question. Predict when 23% of male workers will prefer a female boss. I need to know this 23%, I gotta plug that in, but is it an X number or is it a Y number? It's a Y number because Y is percent. So I plug in 23 equals 3/20 X plus 8. And I solve. I subtract 8 on both sides. 15 equals 3/20 X. 3/20, 2/20. And then to get the x all by itself, I multiply by 20/3. 15 times 20 over 3 is 100. So it's going to take 100 years. And since we started in 1975, 100 years would be the year 2075. Okay, I hope that helps with that one. And then your other question was about domain. Domain and range. This is something that students sometimes struggle with, but I don't think it should be all that difficult. Domain simply means the x numbers that you can use in this problem. So in this problem, this was your correct graph. So the domain starts at time 0 and it ends right here, because right here is where all the water is now out of the basement. So domain starts at time 0 and ends at time 5. So your domain here, you had it absolutely correctly. Domain goes from 0 to 5. And your range is the y values. So we look at our graph and we go low to high. So domain simply goes left to right. Range simply goes low to high. So I look, the least amount of water I could have in my basement is none, which would be ideal, having no water. And the most was how much I started with. I started with 800 cubic feet. So my range, you had that absolutely correctly too. 0 less than or equal to f of t less than or equal to 800. And remember, this symbol f of t is really just another symbol for y. So our y values go between 0 and 800. Our x values, in this case we use the letter t, go between 0 and 5. Okay, hope that helps. If you have further questions, let me know and I'll try to answer them.